The Garden of Pomegranates, Qabbalah Tree of Life Full Guide. An Audiobook. Part 1. The Invitation. What if everything you perceive, the screen before you, the weight of your body, the very thought forming in your mind, is not a random occurrence, but the final syllable of a divine sentence spoken at the dawn of time? This is the profound proposition of the Qabalistic Tree of Life. It suggests our reality is a structured emanation, a cascade of conscious energy from the unknowable source into the world of form, and that within this architecture lies a precise map for the soul's return. Welcome, then, to the Garden of Pomegranates. We are not merely studying an antique diagram, we are learning to navigate the living lattice of your own being. The pomegranate, with its tough outer hull protecting a universe of ruby seeds, serves as our perfect metaphor, a symbol of the intricate, seeded complexity within a single whole, mirroring the 10 spheres of light within the single tree. Consider this for a moment. Every spiritual tradition whispers of a fall, a forgetting, a veiling. But what if that was not a tragic error, but the very method of creation? The Kabbalah view is one of purposeful descent. The infinite, in a gesture of love and self-revelation, chose to step down into finitude. The Tree of Life maps that gracious contraction, that divine self-limitation that makes space for other to exist. Your life, with all its joy and suffering, its banality and its epiphanies, is that process happening in real time. You are not lost, you are on the map. The feeling of separation is not a sin, but the starting condition of a glorious journey of recognition. Our journey, therefore, is one of sacred ascent. We begin where we stand, in the world of soil and sensation, and climb inwardly toward the source, using the tree as our guide. This is a path of awakening, of turning information into direct knowledge, and of transforming the seeker into the knowing. The Tree of Life is not a belief system to adopt, but a reality to verify through contemplation and experience. It is a bridge between the finite and the infinite, showing how the one becomes the many without ever ceasing to be one. Each step on this path reveals a deeper layer of your own consciousness, aligning your personal awareness with universal principles. This is why we call it a garden. It is a living, growing system you are meant to inhabit and cultivate, not a dead schema to memorize. To enter this garden requires a shift in vision. We must move from seeing life as a series of random events to reading it as a symbolic text, where our inner states and outer circumstances are letters in that divine sentence. The pain in your heart, the inspiration in your mind, the solid rock under your hand, these are all chapters in the story of your return. The map gives you the lexicon to understand the narrative. It teaches you that your loneliness might be the call of Bina, the Great Mother, and your creative burst, the fire of Chakmah, the supernal Father. With this lens, nothing is meaningless. Everything becomes a dialogue with a deeper self. Let us begin then at the root of our earthly experience, at the sphere called Malkuth, the kingdom. This is the ground of all being, the divine energy made utterly dense and tangible. It is the physical world in all its splendid solidity, your body, the earth, the chair you sit upon. Most perceive Malkuth as merely the world, but the initiate learns to see it as the kingdom, recognizing the sacred presence shimmering within every atom. The spiritual task here is one of full embodiment and reverence. It is to cease seeing the physical as separate from the spiritual and to start perceiving it as the final, perfect expression of spirit. Your feet must be firmly planted in this kingdom with holy respect for its laws and beauty, for it is the stable foundation from which all inner ascent must launch. The work in Malkuth is deceptively simple: to be fully present. It is to feel the floor supporting you, to taste your food with gratitude, to honor the temple of your body. This is not spiritual bypassing, it is the foundation of all magic and all mysticism. When you perform an act with complete, undivided attention, washing a dish, tying your shoe, feeling the wind, you are consecrating Malkuth. You are declaring this kingdom holy. In doing so, you begin to feel the life force within the form, the divine spark sleeping in the stone. You start to sense that this solid world is not opaque but translucent, and a great light is shining from the other side. Beneath this visible kingdom lies the hidden realm that shapes it, Yesod, the foundation. This is the lunar sphere, the world of the unconscious, the astral plane, and the psychic substratum of reality. If Malkuth is the projected image, Yesod is the screen and the projector combined. Here reside your dreams, your instincts, your hidden fears, and your latent powers. It is the seat of imagination and the storehouse of memory, the filter through which the higher energies are translated into form. The work in Yesod is one of purification and mastery. You must learn to calm these lunar waters, to direct your imagination with purpose, and to cleanse the lens of perception. A shaky foundation here means a distorted reality above. To build a true spiritual life, you must become the architect of this inner, formative world. Think of your last lingering mood, that feeling you couldn't quite shake. That was Yesod. The vivid dream that felt more real than waking life, Yesod. This sphere is the interface, the translator. It receives the high-frequency inspirations from the spheres above and turns them into the images, urges, and feelings that eventually manifest as actions in Malkuth. Most people are slaves to this lunar tide, buffeted by unconscious complexes and reactive emotions. The initiate learns to still the waters, to reflect clearly rather than distort. Through practices of dream journaling, visualization, and honest self-reflection, you begin to edit the script that is running on this inner screen, changing the story you are projecting onto the world. Rising from the lunar depths, we arrive at the radiant center of the entire system, Tiphareth, the beauty. This is the solar heart of the tree, the sphere of harmony, sacrifice, and the awakened higher self. After navigating the physical and emotional landscapes, Tiphareth presents the great question of identity. Who is the one walking this path? Here, the petty ego, forged in the lower spheres, begins to dissolve in the brilliant light of a more inclusive consciousness. This is the experience of true self-realization, not as a separate I, but as a conscious node in a networked universe, a son or daughter of the divine. It is the moment of sacred awe, where personal will aligns with a universal purpose. In Tiphareth, you taste the unity you seek. You feel the sun within your own chest and understand that your individual beauty is a reflection of a central, cosmic beauty. This is the first great goal of the path, to shift your identity from the personality in Malkuth and Yesod to the radiant being in Tiphareth. It is not the annihilation of self, but its transfiguration.
The sacrifice spoken of here is the voluntary offering of the small self's petty wants to the higher purpose of the true self. When you act from a place of genuine compassion, when you create something beautiful, not for praise, but because beauty must be expressed, and when you feel a profound peace in the midst of chaos, you are touching Tiphareth. It is the sphere of the awakened heart, where you realize your life is not about you, but about the role you play in the great, beautiful pattern of the whole. From this solar center, the rest of the tree opens up, for here you stand balanced, ready to receive the influences of the higher spheres and wisely direct the powers of the lower ones.
Part 2. The Bridge of Knowing. Having tasted the solar brilliance of Tiphareth, the heart's clear awakening, we face a profound and often unsettling threshold. Directly above, on the vertical pillar of mercy, shines a sphere of such ferocious intellect and boundless compassion that it can feel like an abyss to the nascent higher self. This is Chesed, mercy, or loving kindness, the first sphere above the personal triad. Here, the personal love of Tiphareth expands to a universal, structuring force of benevolence. Chesed is the architect, the planner, the king on his throne whose decree is pure grace. It represents the expansive, building power of the universe, the principle that said, "Let there be," and provided the raw, generous blueprint for all form. To connect with Chesed is to feel a love that seeks to create stable, enduring structures for the benefit of all, the impulse behind true charity, governance, and institution building from a place of wisdom, not control. This energy does not enable weakness, it builds frameworks where strength can grow. It is the foundation of law, society, and any system designed with longevity and care for the collective in mind. Yet, as with all on the tree, balance is divine law. Directly across from Chesed, on the pillar of severity, stands its necessary counterpart, Geburah, strength or judgment. If Chesed is the boundless pouring cup, Geburah is the form-giving blade. This is not cruelty, but the severe, precise force of discrimination, limitation, and necessary destruction. It is the surgeon's scalpel that removes a tumor to save the body, the principle of karma that enforces cosmic law, the fire that burns away the obsolete to make space for the new. Geburah provides the boundaries that prevent Chesed's limitless mercy from dissolving into formless chaos. Together, Chesed and Geburah represent the dynamic, creative tension between expansion and contraction, between boundless potential and defining form. The heart in Tiphareth must learn to hold both this infinite compassion and this disciplined strength within its single beat. To have mercy without judgment is sentimentality. To have judgment without mercy is tyranny. Their equilibrium is the cornerstone of spiritual maturity. Balancing these two mighty forces above the heart is the sphere that synthesizes them, Da'ath, a mysterious presence not always counted among the 10, known as knowledge. Da'ath is not a sphere of light, but a hidden, chasm-like gateway. It sits in the abyss that separates the personal consciousness of the lower tree from the universal consciousness of the supernal triad above. Da'ath represents the precipice of direct, experiential knowledge, the kind that shatters illusion but can also sever the seeker from familiar ground. It is the knowing that comes not from books, but from a union so profound it transcends subject and object.
To cross this abyss is to let go of the last vestiges of separate self-perception. Da'ath reminds us that between the heart's feeling and the mind's understanding lies a void that must be courageously traversed in faith and silence. It is the dark night where all you thought you knew dissolves, leaving only the raw, unmediated truth of being. Now, having acknowledged the bridging function of Da'ath, we ready ourselves to cross into the rarefied air of the supernal realm, the triad of pure archetypal reality that precedes and generates all below. The first emanation from the Absolute, the crown of the entire tree, is Kether, the crown. This is the point of absolute unity, the first thing that can be called a thing as it flashes forth from the unmanifest. Kether is pure being, the supreme white light containing all colors yet undifferentiated. It is the seed of the entire pomegranate, the primordial spark. We cannot comprehend Kether with the mind. We can only, in moments of supreme grace, become it. It is the source, the aim, and the origin of our entire journey. From this luminous crown, all complexity flows forth in a perfect, orderly cascade, beginning with its direct, dynamic expression. To even speak of it is to distort it, for it exists prior to all polarity, even the distinction between existence and non-existence. Flowing from the serene unity of Kether comes a sphere of pure active intellect, Chokhmah, wisdom. If Kether is the point, Chokhmah is the line, the primal male force, the dynamic thrust of divine will into the void. This is the wisdom that is not learned but known, the flash of unmediated cosmic insight, the Big Bang as a conscious act. Chokhmah is the boundless, energetic father principle, the force of perpetual becoming. It has no form of its own, but is the pure energy that creates all form. To connect with Chokhmah is to tap into the raw creative power of the universe, the visionary impulse that drives galaxies and great art alike. It is wisdom as a brilliant, unstoppable force, the pure yes of existence before any question is asked. It is the electric thrill of inception, the first motion of purpose. And this unstoppable force of wisdom finds its receptive, formative counterpart in Binah, understanding. If Chokhmah is the dazzling flash, Binah is the deep, dark, receptive womb that receives it, gives it shape, and brings it into the possibility of manifestation. This is the Great Mother, the matrix, the principle of limitation that allows the infinite to be perceived. Binah is understanding, the deep, compassionate comprehension that comes from contemplation, the structure of space-time itself, the sorrow and joy of divine pregnancy. From the union of Chokhmah's force and Binah's form, the entire universe of possibility is conceived. Here, in this supernal triad, we see the divine mind, the unity, Kether, the active force, Chokhmah, and the receptive form, Binah, from which the drama of creation unfolds. This is the realm of pure archetype, where the ideas of love, justice, or beauty exist in their undiluted universal state before they filter down into our human experience. Part 3. The Living Lattice. We have walked from the solid kingdom of earth to the luminous crown of pure being, mapping 10 spheres of emanation in the tree. Yet a tree is not merely a collection of fruits, it is the living, flowing sap within, the intricate network of branches that connect them. Our map remains static until we animate it with movement, with journey, with the very breath of life. This is the role of the 22 pathways, the arteries of consciousness that link the Sephiroth, each one corresponding to a letter of the Hebrew alphabet and a key of the tarot. These are not just connections, they are processes, states of consciousness, and the dynamic verbs that bring the nouns of the spheres into a coherent sentence. To understand the pathways is to learn the syntax of the soul's language, to see how love becomes form, how wisdom descends into action. They are the means by which the qualities of one sphere are translated, tested, and transformed into the substance of another. Consider the journey not as a straight line upward, but as a spiral, a serpentine path that winds around the trunk of the tree. This is the path of the lightning flash, the zigzagging descent of divine energy from Kether down to Malkuth, creating the spheres in its explosive sequential unfoldment. It is the story of creation itself, from the first divine thought to the final materialized word. But our human work is the reverse, the path of the serpent of wisdom, ascending this same lightning bolt, reclaiming and integrating each stage of consciousness. We must crawl like a serpent, with the belly of our awareness pressed to the tree, feeling each texture, each thorn, each smooth passage, learning the lessons of each pathway as we go. This is the initiatory journey. We integrate by moving sideways and around, not just upward, because wisdom is gathered through experience and relationship, not through a mere vertical leap.
Let us feel the texture of a single pathway as an example. Take the path connecting Malkuth, the kingdom, to Chesed, the foundation. It is the first step off the solid ground of pure physical awareness into the inner world. This path is assigned the Hebrew letter Tav and the tarot key of the universe. It tells us that to move from blind materialism to the realm of the subconscious, we must first achieve a kind of completion in the physical world, a mastery of our personal universe. It is about concluding one cycle to enter the formative space where the next is dreamed. Another, the steep path from Tiphareth, the heart, to Geburah, the sphere of severity, is a journey of sacrifice and discipline, where loving compassion must learn to wield the sword of discernment. Each pathway is a specific alchemical operation of the spirit, a trial that forges a new facet of your being. The path is the teacher, and its tarot archetype is the lesson you must embody to earn the right to stand in the next sphere. This understanding leads us to the profound Kabbalistic concept of the four worlds. The Tree of Life does not exist only once. It is recapitulated on four distinct levels of being, from the most abstract to the most concrete. First is Atziluth, the archetypal world, where each Sephiroth is a pure divine emanation, a face of God. Here, in the world of fire, the sphere of Geburah is not a personal struggle with anger, but the pure cosmic principle of divine judgment. Next is Briah, the creative world, the realm of archangels and pure mind, the world of water, where these ideas take their first conceptual forms. Then comes Yetzirah, the formative world, the world of air, the angelic realm where those ideas are shaped into patterns and energies, the realm of astrology and the psyche. Finally, Asiya, the material world, the world of earth, where all these forces condense into the physical reality of Malkuth. You, as a human, are a microcosm containing all four worlds, your divine spark, Atziluth, your creative intellect, Briah, your emotional and psychic body, Yetzirah, and your physical vessel, Asiya. Thus, the tree becomes a multi-dimensional map,
A challenge in your material life, asiya, in, say, your career, which relates to the sphere of hod, splendor, on the psychological level in Yetzirah, might stem from a disconnect from the creative archangelic inspiration of that sphere in Briah, which itself is a reflection of a divine principle in Atziuth. The work is to align the worlds within you. This is the practical magic of the Kabbalah. By working symbolically with the correspondences of a Sephiroth, its divine name, archangel, angelic choir, astrological association, and sacred image, you invoke that specific quality of consciousness from its highest world down into your own awareness, creating harmony and effecting change from the inside out. You begin to live simultaneously in all four worlds, your actions in asiya becoming conscious expressions of archetypal forces. This brings us to a necessary and often misunderstood dimension of the garden. For every sphere of holy light, there is a converse, a shadow. In Qabbalah, this is called the klipoth, the husks or shells. They are not demons in a cartoonish sense, but the chaotic, unbalanced, and fragmented expressions of a sphere's energy when it is disconnected from the flow of the tree. The klipoth of Netzach, for instance, might be mere sentimentalism and addictive passion, victory divorced from truth. The klipoth of Hod could be dry sophistry, lies, and sterile intellectualism. Spiritual work is not just about ascending to the light, it is also about confronting and redeeming these shadows within our own nature, reintegrating their raw, distorted energy back into the balanced system. The pomegranate has a tough, bitter rind that must be broken to reach the sweet seeds. The klipoth represent that necessary challenging barrier. They are the spiritual inertia we must overcome, our personal and collective distortions that trap the divine light in forms of suffering. Now, standing back with this complete view, the 10 spheres, the 22 connecting paths, the fourfold world within worlds, and the interplay of light and shadow, we arrive at the ultimate purpose of this map. It is not for scholarly admiration, it is a tool for tikkun, for repair. The ancient mystics taught that in the process of creation, vessels of light shattered, scattering divine sparks into the lower worlds, entrapped within the shells of matter and confusion. Our sacred task, our human purpose, is to perform tikkun olam, the repair of the world, by lifting these sparks back to their source. Every time you consciously bring mercy, chesed, into a situation of harshness, you repair a fragment. Every time you bring clear truth to confusion, you redeem a spark. Your own ascent up the tree, your own balancing of your inner tree, actively heals the universe. You become an agent of this sacred restoration, and your awakened life becomes a thread reweaving the tapestry of a world yearning to be made whole again. Part 4. Tending Your Garden. The map is laid bare before us, its continents of consciousness charted, its mountain ranges of spirit named. But a map is not the territory, and a diagram of a garden is not the taste of the fruit. Now we arrive at the most vital transition from cartographer to gardener. How does one actually live within the Garden of Pomegranates? The shift is from theoretical understanding to embodied practice, from knowing about the spheres to consciously inhabiting their qualities. This work is gentle, patient, and deeply personal. It is the art of sacred attention, of aligning your inner state with the archetypal currents you have studied. We begin not with a grand ritual, but with a simple directed breath, with the quiet intention to perceive the world and yourself through this new ancient lens. The goal is integration, not information, allowing the tree to grow naturally from within you, rather than trying to impose it from without. Consider your daily life as the fertile soil of Malkuth. Your practice starts here, in the kingdom of the ordinary. Begin with a mindfulness of the divine presence in the mundane. Feel the sacredness in the weight of a cup, the texture of bread, the reliability of your breath. This is the foundation of all that follows. This is the practice of kavana, of directed intention. As you perform a simple act, pour your full awareness into it and silently acknowledge it as an expression of the divine kingdom. This consecrates the moment and roots your consciousness firmly in the holy reality of matter. From this grounded awareness, you can then turn your gaze inward to the lunar world of Yesod. Each night, before sleep, review the images and emotions that played across your inner screen that day. Gently, without judgment, offer gratitude for the constructive ones and release the chaotic ones into the divine light. This nightly tidying of your astral foundation strengthens your entire being. You might imagine a soft, silver light cleansing this inner space, preparing it to receive clearer impressions and more purposeful dreams. As your days begin from this cleansed foundation, set an intention to operate from the heart center of Tiphareth. In moments of stress or decision, pause, breathe into the center of your chest, and ask what action here would bring harmony. What response stems from my higher self, not my reactive ego? This simple pause is an invocation of beauty. It aligns your personal will with the solar principle of sacrifice, the sacrifice of lower impulses for a higher good. From this centered place, you can then consciously draw on the qualities of the other spheres as life demands. When a situation calls for compassionate structure, you invoke Chesed. When it requires setting a firm boundary or cutting away what is rotten, you consciously embody Geburah. This is not about pretending to be something you are not, but about remembering what you truly are at your core and choosing to let that aspect lead.
To deepen this connection, you may work with specific contemplative exercises for each Sephirah. For example, to connect with the sphere of Chesed, meditate on the concept of boundless, structuring love. Visualize a vast, still blue ocean, infinitely deep and generous, supporting all life within it. Feel that quality of supportive expansion within your own heart. To contact Geburah, contemplate the image of a perfectly sharp, clean red sword, cutting with surgical precision only what is necessary for health and integrity. Hold the sense of fearless, focused power. For Hod, the sphere of intellect and communication, you might study a complex idea with the goal of expressing it with crystal clarity. For Netzach, the sphere of emotion and artistry, lose yourself in a piece of music or nature, feeling its beauty without analysis. These are not mere visualizations, they are acts of tuning your soul's instrument to a specific divine frequency. You can use their traditional colors, scents, or symbols as focal points to deepen the resonance. The pathways, too, can be walked in meditation. Using the tarot keys as gateways is a time-honored method. If you are working with the path from Geburah to Chesed, for instance, which is the path of the Wheel of Fortune, meditate on that card. Contemplate its meaning, the turning cycles of fate, the balance of karma, the upward and downward flow of energy between mercy and severity. Ask yourself, where in my life am I resisting a necessary cycle? How can I align my personal will with this greater turning?
By immersing yourself in the symbol, you travel the pathway and integrate its lesson. Your life itself becomes the ultimate ritual, and every encounter becomes a chance to practice the qualities of the tree. You can journal about these meditations, noting how the archetype manifests in your daily experiences, making the connection between symbol and lived reality explicit. This integrative practice naturally extends to the four worlds. When facing a creative block, an issue of Bria and Yetzirah, you might invoke the archangel of the corresponding Sephiroth, asking for inspiration. When dealing with a difficult material circumstance, Asiya, trace it back to its psychological pattern, Yetzirah, then to its creative source, Bria, and finally align yourself with the divine name, Atzilut, behind it all. This vertical alignment is the essence of practical Kabbalah. It creates a channel for grace and intelligence to flow from the highest world directly into your situation, transforming it from the top down. Finally, remember the ultimate unity of the system. The journey up the tree is one of increasing synthesis. As you practice, you will begin to see how Netzach's inspiration needs Hod's structure to become manifest. You'll feel how Geburah's strength is useless without Chesed's love to guide it. The goal is not to escape the lower spheres for the higher, but to fully realize the higher within the lower. The divine crown, Kether, is fully present in the kingdom of Malkuth. It is only our perception that is clouded. The entire work is one of cleaning the lens of consciousness. When you truly see the pomegranate, you do not see a skin, then pulp, then seeds. You perceive the whole living fruit in its glorious seeded complexity. So it is with your soul and with the world. Your spiritual work becomes a continuous act of perceiving the unity in the diversity, the one light refracted through the 10 living jewels of your own being. This is the promise of the garden. It offers not escape from life, but a profoundly richer, more conscious and more responsible way of living it. You become a conscious agent of tikkun, a tender of sparks. Each act of kindness is chesed. Each moment of honest truth is hod. Each experience of awe is a glimpse of Kether. The map dissolves into the territory, and you find you are not walking the path. You are the living path itself, flowering where you stand. The journey ends where it began, but the kingdom of Malkuth is now seen for what it always was, the throne of the infinite manifest in finite form. You walk through the same world, but you see it with the eyes of the garden, recognizing every person, every creature, every event as a unique and sacred permutation of the one tree. Your guide through the garden is now complete. The seeds have been planted. The work of cultivation, the sacred, lifelong, and joyous work is now yours to begin. Approach it not as a task, but as a loving dialogue with the deepest parts of yourself and the universe. May your harvest be abundant, and may the taste of the fruit remind you always of the unity and beauty of the single shining tree from which all worlds hang. Remember, you are not tending a garden outside yourself. You are awakening to the truth that you have always been in the center of it, and you are both the gardener and the garden, the seeker and the path home. Now the map is in your hands, and the garden awaits your footsteps. This journey through the spheres is just the first step into a living mystery. To keep walking this path with us, to help illuminate these ancient truths for others, please help our channel grow and spread the message by liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications. The next exploration into this hidden architecture of reality is already being prepared. Make sure you say which sphere or pathway you'd most like to understand next in the comments below. Remember, every seeker who awakens helps heal the universe one spark at a time. Thank you for watching.